Holy smokes, guys. Palantir just reported a record quarter, their first quarter with $1 billion of revenue, which, well, we called out, and the stock is breaking out. We're up to another all-time high, and we're pushing $170 a share. And guys, well, it gets a lot better than that. Their guidance was great. They also beat on EPS. We have a lot to talk about. We're going to break down the earnings, what I'm doing. Am I selling, buying more, holding? So, guys, hit the like button. Make sure to subscribe. Join my free email stock newsletter, the Patreon for my portfolio updates, blah, blah, blah. All that crap is down below. And now, let's dive into it. So, again, we just got a record quarter from Palantir. They reported earnings per share, I believe, of 16 cents. Let me get the exact number, which beat the 14 cents expected, and revenue came in just a hair over $1 billion versus the $939 million estimate. And I think revenues grew 48% year over year. And like I said, they upped their guidance not only for Q3 for revenue, but for the entire year, which we're going to talk about in the actual earnings release here in a second. And you guys probably remember, I mentioned this in my video yesterday, earnings had to be a grand slam for Palantir to go higher. And I told you guys, if they reported their first $1 billion revenue quarter and they upped their guidance, I said the stock was going to go up, in my opinion, and here we are. Here we are, man. And really, I put heavy emphasis on that $1 billion quarter, and we got it. We got it. Here we are. And again, the stock's up about 4.5% after the bell right now. We are completely ripping. Obviously, we're breaking out on all time frames. And now, I mean, it's like, holy moly, we're up even more. On the 4-hour now, we're obviously taking out the highs from the last couple of days. We're fully breaking out. And is this the momentum that's going to take us to 180, 190, 200? Is this the breakout that's going to get us there? Maybe over time. Maybe, just maybe. So let me dive into the actual earnings release. Bear with me here, guys. I'll pull this up. Smash the like button. Make sure to subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. I'll put my big old head down here. There we go. So you guys can see they reported U.S. commercial revenue growth of, 93% year over year, and revenue growth in general of 48%. And they got it for Q3 revenue. It looks like here 50% growth year over year, and they raised their full year 25 revenue guidance to 45% year over year growth, and U.S. commercial revenue guidance to 85% year over year, crushing consensus expectations, right? And if I zoom in a little bit here, so we can go through the numbers. It looks like here Alex Karp said this was a phenomenal quarter. We continue to see the astonishing impact of AI leverage. Our Rule of 40 score was 94%, once again obliterating the metric, and year-over-year growth in our U.S. business surged to 68%, and year-over-year growth in U.S. commercial climbed to 93%. And we are guiding to the highest sequential quarterly revenue growth in our company's history, representing 50% year-over-year growth. He said that again, Alex Karp. And let's just run through some of these numbers, and you guys can see them for yourselves, obviously, if you pause the screen so we can see. Like I said, for the fifth time now, U.S. commercial or U.S. revenue in general grew 68% year over year and 17% quarter over quarter to $733 million. And U.S. comm revenue grew 93%. U.S. government revenue grew 53% year over year. Looks like revenue in general, again, 48% growth, 14% quarter over quarter growth for revenue, which is insane. And they closed 157 deals of at least $1 million, 66 deals of at least $5 million, and 42 deals of at least $10 million in the quarter. And they closed a record-setting $2.27 billion of total contract value, up a whopping 140% year over year. And we can see a record-setting $843 million of U.S. commercial TCV, total contract value, up 222% year over year. This is insane, guys. Customer count grew 43% year over year and 10% quarter on quarter, and GAAP income from operations came in at $269 million. That's a 27% margin, and adjusted income from operations of 400, quite the difference, $64 million, representing a 46% margin. And you can see all the other numbers right here. GAAP EPS 13 cents, adjusted EPS 16 cents, representing, a margin. Adjusted cash flow, free cash flow, $596 or $69 million, representing 57% margin. Cash from operations, a 54% margin. So, guys, they absolutely crushed it across the board, record numbers. And what's really moving the stock, again, is that billion-dollar quarter. What a freaking quarter, guys, which, I mean, that was not expected. Even at the higher end of the estimates, from what I was seeing at least, nobody was really guiding for $1 billion. I think the higher end of the estimates I was looking at were like 960, 970 million. And obviously we came in well above that. And man, the guidance, that's where it's at right now. Another thing for the company that's moving the stock right now, it's the guidance, guys. So for Q3 2025, they expect revenue of between 1.083 to 1.087 billion, which last time they were guiding, or the analysts I think were guiding for like 980 million, something like that, and adjusted income from operations of between 493 to 497 million is what they're guiding. And for full year 2025, they raised their revenue guidance to between 4.14 to 4.15 billion dollars, and they're raising their U.S. commercial revenue guidance to an excess of $1.3 billion, representing a growth rate of at least 85%. And they're raising their adjusted income from operations guidance to between $1.912 to $1.92 billion, and they raised their adjusted free cash flow guidance to between $1.8 to $2 billion, and they continue to expect GAAP operating income and net income in each quarter of this year. I mean, guys, grand slam after grand slam. And, it's not only that they broke record revenue, they beat EPS. Their guidance is amazing, pretty much on all cylinders. So at this point, coming from a shareholder here that owns the stock at $20 a share, I am freaking ecstatic, dumbfounded. I mean, not dumbfounded because I'm not shocked, again, we almost called this to a T, but man, they just keep crushing it on all cylinders, and this is what sends a stock higher and higher whenever the company just keeps on beating revenue, upping their guidance. This is what we saw with NVIDIA when it first blew up a couple years ago. They just kept beating, kept upping guidance, kept beating, kept upping guidance for so many quarters in a row. And quite frankly, they're still doing that. But that was just bringing their stock up like crazy, NVIDIA, a couple years ago. And now we're seeing it with Palantir. And I said months and months ago, a long time ago, that Palantir reminded me of NVIDIA in those earlier stages. And, it still does. This is months later, hundreds of % return later. It still reminds me of NVIDIA. It's insane. And, now the stock's trading at $167.80. We hit $172.20 initially when the numbers came out. Insane. And on a side note, the stock market today crushed it. Unbelievable day. Russell 2%, green day. NASDAQ 1.8, Dow 1.3, S&P 1.5. What a day across the board, guys. So, I'm going to leave it at that. I don't want to drag it on too much. I wanted to get this quick, short, concise video out covering their earnings, quick reaction. And for me, guys, I'm just holding on. I'm not selling stock. I'm not buying here. I'm just holding on, and I'm super pumped to be a part of this company, a part of this story. It's just, it's been insane. So let me know your thoughts in the comments. Hit the like button. Feel free to subscribe. Join the email stock newsletter. It's free. And check out my Patreon for my portfolio updates. All the links are right down below. And with that being said, guys, I'll catch you in the next video.